Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody, to the Eyes on Texas live stream. You know me. I'm your host. I'm your captain of this here flight. Don't know why I just say this. Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody, to the Eyes on Texas live stream. You know me. I'm your host. I'm your captain of this here flight. Don't know why I just say this. Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody, to the Eyes on Texas live stream. You know me. I'm your host. I'm your captain of this here flight. All right, that should fix that. Dear Lord. All right, let's try this again, everybody. Welcome to the Eyes on Texas channel. I'm your host, AK, and I'm back here yet again with another live stream with y'all today. As you can see in the title, as you can see in the caption, Derrick Brown, the four-star edge rusher, coming straight out of committed to University of Texas, straight out of Texas himself, coming out of Texas High, the four-star edge rusher, 6'3", right around 210 pounds. He does play the edge position. He is going to kind of sort of play that jack edge role position that Joseph Osai did have a lot of success in the 2020 season and did bolster himself into a second-round draft pick as Derrick Brown, horns up, hook 'em up, has committed to the good. The four-star edge rusher, as I did say, all the way from Texarkana, Texas. Here in the class of 2022, he is going to be the overall 15th commit to the University of Texas in the class of 2022. I will let you know just a little bit more about him. I will let you know where does Texas does go ahead and stand as of right now in said class of 2022. I do believe we are ranked number 11th overall in 247 Sports, just ahead of those Gig'em Aggies. With that being said, we do plan on spending most of our time in the top 10 under Coach Steve Sarkisian while we are going to be under the Steve Sarkisian era. We do want to hit in that top 10, and we do want to hit closer to that top 5 year in and year out, especially now that we are joining the SEC. But first of all, what does Texas get in with this edge rusher? Well, he is going to be an edge rusher. He does play on the defensive line for Texas High down there in Texarkana, Texas. He is a bit versatile. He does play a linebacker role. He does split out and drop back in coverage a little bit. But here at the University of Texas, we are going to have him just go ahead and fill out that frame just a little bit more. We do want Mr. Brown to go ahead and add on some more weight, and we do want him to go ahead and fill up that frame just a little bit more as he is on the 210, 215 pound edge range, as that is going to be a little bit light as we are bolstering up, packing it up, moving out of the Big 12 and on to the SEC, where the big boys come to play football. And where the big boys come to play football, it is a absolutely line of scrimmage, collision, contact sport. It is an absolute collision sport. It is absolute line of scrimmage sport. And Mr. Derrick Brown is here to play that for the University of Texas, as he is going to be the 15th overall recruit in the said class of 2022, as we did hold the barbecue pool party yesterday, Friday the 30th, and today, wham, bam, thank you, Derrick Brown, the edge rusher, is committed to the Horns. I've just been kind of sort of talking just his last couple of minutes. We do have him committed to the good, and he is going to be the 15th commit to the class, as I did just say. And let's go ahead and talk about who else we do have in that class, right? We do have Mr. Brown, who did commit today, the 31st of July, the last day of July, and the last day before we go ahead and get into the dead period. Before we go ahead and get into the dead period, this is pretty much what will be the last run, as once August hits, there are no more campus visits. People, recruits are picking it up, packing it up. They are spending time in their hometown, and they are just staying home, and it is closed up shop for the recruiting season. It is just time for everybody else to go home and only talk on the phones, as the in-house, on-campus recruits, official visits, unofficial visits are done, and the next time that they do open up is whenever school does head and start, and whenever we're having those campus and college visits on campus. So basically, the next time college recruits can be on the 40 or anywhere else on any other college campus is going to be whenever we do start hosting games starting in September. So go ahead and continuing on with the class of 2022 and continuing on. In addition to Mr. Derrick Brown, we do have the rest of the class of 2022. And let's just go ahead and start talking about them. Remove him. Yes, I do absolutely want to remove him. And filling up the rest of the class here. And of course it would be. All right. Well, as you can see right there, we do have Mr. Derrick Brown. He is going to be the edge rusher. He is going to be 6'3", right under 210 pounds, as I did say. We are kind of sort of starting out in the middle. Sorry about that, guys, as I did just not have the top 1 through 5 guys. But starting out with Derrick Brown, as we did just talk about him, 4-star edge rusher from Texarkana, Texas, 210 pounds. He is nationally rated just under the 300, in the top 300, right at number 298. For his position, he is the 16th ranked edge rusher. And coming out of the great state of Texas, the fighting great state of Texas, he is the 46th overall ranked recruit. Coming up next is going to be Cole Hudson, who just recently committed to the good right around July 2nd, actually right on July 2nd, right whenever his boy, the other interior lineman straight out of Austin, Westlake, Connor Robertson, committed. Cole Hudson is also going to be an interior lineman, 6'5", 312 pounds, already big boy as Steve Sarkisian, coming out of the SEC and coming in to play that SEC ball. Man, you know he 100% absolutely loves those big interior linemen, those big linemen, period. And Cole Hudson looks to be one of those. And Cole does look to play center as he's an absolutely intelligent individual, as I do believe that he is looking to go to the business school while he is spending his time here on the 40. But moving on to Zach Swanson, a defensive tackle. He's going to be coming to us, a 4-star commit, nationally rated 353, and he is going to be a defensive tackle coming out of Phoenix, Arizona, as he is going to be one of our out-of-state commits and another on the defensive side of the ball. So we need big-time defensive linemen and we need big-time offensive linemen. If we are going to compete and play in the SEC, we need those big boys to grow, stay strong, hold their ground, and absolutely hog those mollies up front. And with that being said, Zach Swanson looks to hold that ground as he is 6'4", right around 260 pounds, coming out of the Phoenix, Arizona area. Travell Johnson, whose commitment is a little bit under fire, as he has been visiting other campuses. I believe he was just recently at the University of Virginia Tech. I believe it was Virginia Tech. Travell Johnson is going to be a speedy side-to-side linebacker coming out of Arlington Martin, the same school that we did get another great linebacker in the class of 2021. Arlington Martin needs to become a good defensive pipeline for us. And the defensive linebacker, side-to-side linebacker, 3-star, nationally rated Travell Johnson looks to be that for us. But like I did say earlier, his commitment is a bit shaky as he is still going on other campus visits. Which moves us on to another hog molly to the other interior offensive lineman that I was talking about to y'all earlier, and Connor Robinson, straight out of Westlake, Austin Westlake Hills, the interior offensive guard, 6'4", 296 pounds, just under the 300-pound threshold. We did win the recruitment in Connor the same day that we did land the other offensive tackle commit in this class on July 2nd. We did win his rights on the way from Palo Alto from Stanford, and we did win his recruitment right away from the University of Southern Cal as well. Good, versatile offensive lineman, as he can play anywhere on the offensive side of the ball, offensive side of the line, that is. He can play on the exterior, on either tackle position, guard, or center. With that being said, he does play, I believe, right tackle for the 2-time defending state champion, 6A state champion, Chaparrals of Austin Westlake Hills. Moving on again to the defensive side of the ball, and this is going to be Anthony Jones. He is listed as an athlete prospect, but he is the 6'5", 242-pounder, is going to play on the defensive side of the ball. He is going to play for Coach PK, and he is probably going to play for Coach Bo Davis on the defensive line, as he looks to come screaming off the edge. Coming out of Henderson, Nevada, the 6'4", 250-pound defensive lineman, is nationally rated a 3-star prospect, 562 rated by 247 Sports, and in the state of Nevada, he is the 10th highest rated prospect. And just finishing up, rounding out the bottom two, we do have a couple of specialty players. We do have a kicker, Wilt Stone, coming from Austin, Texas. 6 foot tall, right around 175 pounds. Doesn't really matter how big he is. It just matters how big that leg is and how big he can swing that pendulum and kick the ball through the goal post and drive it into the end zone in kickoffs. And finishing it up is going to be St. Louis, who's going to be a long snapper. That's right, holla at your boy. We did, in fact, recruit a long snapper coming out of Gilbert, Arizona. All right, man, let's see if I can go ahead and get the right one this time. Here we go. All right, here we are. Here's going to be starting out from the top. And this is going to be starting out from the top of the recruits. And coming in first is going to be Brian Allen Jr. He is going to be a safety. At this time, he is going to be our highest rated recruit, as Malik Murphy has absolutely dropped, as the Jupiter Sierra, California prospect quarterback has dropped to 115th ranked by 247 Sports, pretty much because his team isn't all that great. They are a bit lackluster, and they did not have much time to practice before their shortened California season, I must add, just this COVID season, as they did play it in the spring. But let's go ahead and start about Brian Allen Jr. Brian Allen Jr., like I said, he is going to be a safety prospect, 6 foot tall, right at 185 pounds, coming out of Aledo, Texas, man. They straight up win titles down there in Titletown, Aledo, Texas. The 4A ballers coming out of Aledo, Texas, as Brian Allen Jr., his brother, is also going to be a cornerback on that state championship winning season as that commit. His younger brother is also leaning towards the horns. The nationally rated 4-star commit did go ahead, commit to the University of Texas on February 28th. Coming up next, as I did talk about, the quarterback all the way from California, Sark's Project, did commit to us all the way back in February himself. Malik Murphy, the 7-on-7 wizard, as he does need to get more time while fighting under real duress, fighting under real bullets. Malik Murphy straight up needs to have more time under center or just playing with pads. 100%. Do not know how other else to say it other than that. Malik Murphy is a project quarterback in this time. I do have all faith, as Coach Steve Sarkisian, the quarterback guru, he chose this guy. So my faith 100% lies in Coach Sark. So my 100% faith thus must lie with Malik Murphy. Jaden Blue is a big-time prospect coming out of Klein Kane High School in the Houston area. Made a big-time splash whenever he did announce that he is going to forgo his senior season and go ahead and not play for Kane Klein out of the Houston area. Did make lots and lots of headlines, and that is going to be the major reason why Jaden Blue is straight plummeted in the recruited rankings. The one-time 5-star recruit, he was one-time the #1 overall back in the class of 2022. Now you can see he's nationally rated 120th for his position #9. So going all the way from 1 to 9 is absolutely incredible by my estimation. It has absolutely nothing to do with the prospect himself, as he has made himself more versatile in his time off. He is a big-time playmaker, a big-time player in the 7-on-7 scene, the 7-on-7 circuit. Well, additionally, he plays at the running back position, but he does line up at wide receivers as well and run routes. He runs every single route in the route tree. Is a big-time prospect. His game has only expanded since announcing the time that he is not going to spend it playing for Klein out there in the Houston area, getting ready for his time on the 40 acres as is another prospect coming out of South Lake, has made a big time major noise, as well as he might possibly forgo his senior season. Of course, talk about Quinn Ears, but Jaden Blue Once was the #1 overall running back in the class of 22. Once was a 5-star commit. Once was a 5-star prospect. Now is ranked nationally rated a 4-star 120th. Armani Winsfield, that speedy, smooth wide receiver coming out of Lewisville High School in Lewisville, Texas, committed to the good in January during halftime of the national championship game. Coach Sark had him on the phone coming out of halftime at the Natty and sealed the deal. Your boy Armani Winfield, a major prospect, 6'2", 180 pounds, nationally rated a 23 rated wide receiver, but I personally think his smooth route running and coming in and out of his breaks will bolster that ranking, and he will prove to others that ranking should rise. And to talk about someone else who did rise just a little bit in the rankings, talking about Jamaria Miller, the speedy running back coming out of Tyler Legacy. We do have two absolute bullets coming out of the backfield, both running sub 10 in the 40, not in the 40, in the 10 in the 100 meters, as I believe they are both 10.8 and 10.81. I don't know who was the 0.0 and who was the 0.1, but it really doesn't matter, as both of our running backs, Jamaria Miller coming out of Tyler Legacy and Jaden Blue, are 100% burners coming out of the backfield, and coming in at 195 pounds and standing 5'10" the nationally 4-star rated Jamaria Miller is a prospect on the rise, no doubt. Recently, a prospect on the rise, no doubt, by my estimation, and the main reason for being on the rise is going to be Austin Jordan. The main reason for that rise is going to be his versatility. He can play in the slot, he can play outside corner, he can run down the field with those versatile, speedy playmaking wide receivers, and he can line up and be a sideline to sideline safety for you, center fielder safety as well. Austin Jordan committed to the good July 14th recently as well, coming straight out of Denton Ryan. Back-to-back years, we double-dipped Denton Ryan for recruits. We did get the 5-star Mr. Do-It-All athlete Jatavion Sanders just this past year. And this year, boom, coming straight out of Denton Ryan again, the versatile Austin Jordan. And that's going to bode very important for the University of Texas, because once you start talking about our cornerbacks, once Jalen Gilbo decommitted from the University of Texas, that puts us with 0 straight corners that can play sideline to sideline corners, that can play that edge corner, that can play that press corner along the edge. We do have a safety commit. We do have others that can possibly look to fill that role that was missed by Jalen Gilbo, but that does 100% impact the importance of Austin Jordan to the Longhorns ever since he committed. That versatility, playing corner, playing safety, or playing slot corner as well, coming straight out of Denton Ryan as well, as he is going to be a state champion coming out of the Denton Ryan Raiders. Going to be the last commit that I'm going to be talking about today is going to be Christopher Ross. He has been committed to the good ever since March 23rd, straight out of North Shore. And man, I love those North Shore products. Going to be the main reason why I love those North Shore prospects, those North Shore products, is because they are thick-legged dudes themselves. Much props, much respect to the man, to the person that is holding up the weight room down there in North Shore. Much respect to the strength and conditioning coach down there, whoever it is. I wish I did know your name. I have hollowed out your name and the good job that you do quite some time. If you cut those guys off at the neck, you cut those guys off at the hips, a lot of those dudes are thick-legged dudes. And when you're going to be a defensive lineman, especially a defensive tackle, going to play in the SEC, you need to hold up your own, man. As I did say, you need to hold up your own. It is a contact collision sport down there in the trenches in the SEC. We need to man up and man up big time. Christopher Ross coming straight out of the North Shore, Texas, in the Houston area. Woo! Oh, man. Billy Gamble, Brown was a great get for the Horn. Really excited we landed. Yeah, man, Ken. Yep. If anybody hasn't, if we do have any new viewers, if anybody hasn't quite been on the show before, I am Alistair King. I am AK. I'm the owner, operator, moderator of this channel. I straight up run this piece. With that being said, if you have any questions for me right now, I'd like to open it up for questions right now. Billy Gamble, welcome to the show, as I have seen you before. Ken Crockett, horns up to you, sir. Horns up to you again, Billy. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. I'm a family man. It is hard for me to bring content for you guys on the regular. It is hard for me to get content day in and day out, but I do try to bring it for you as often as possible. All right. If you don't have any questions for you right now, I'll just go ahead and switch up the topics. I'll go ahead and switch up the subjects. Let's go ahead and talk about Aggie for a while, man. Does anybody want to talk about Aggie? So ever since we came to the SEC, ever since it's been announced that we have came into the SEC, it's gotten me wondering, are we still rivals with the Texas A&M University? Are we still rivals with TAMU? Gig'em, are we still rivals? We haven't played them ever since, 2011, when it was 25 to 27. One of the good won it with a last-second field goal. Absolutely amazing. Billy, I agree with you, my friend. I do absolutely believe they are scared as well. D. Taylor, hook 'em up. Horns up to you, my friend. Horns up to you, sir. As on this good day, as we did land Derrick Brown, straight out of the edge rusher, coming straight out of Arcana, Texas. Let's go ahead and remove this. Let's go ahead and put Mr. Derrick Brown up, and we will continue on. Boom. Mr. Derrick Brown. Boom. Make him grow a little bit bigger there. Boom. There's Mr. Derrick Brown. Boom. All right. But let's go ahead and talk about the history before this. All right, so is Texas versus Texas A&M still a rivalry? The last game was November 24, 2011. The first game was all the way back in 1894. 1894 was going to be the first time that Texas A&M and the Longhorns did in fact play. And of course, you know who won that one. It was horns up all the way. 38-0, I believe, was the final score. Texas won the last game in a last-second field goal, 27-25. Mark 'em on. Horns up to you, sir. How are you doing, my friend? Just talking about a little bit of a history of Texas A&M versus University of Texas Longhorns, and are they still a rivalry? So we're just go ahead and talking about that. The last time they did play was November 24, 2011. Texas won 27-25. The all-time series, of course, you know the Horns lead 76 wins to 37 losses. I absolutely have no idea how the Aggies beat us 37 times. The refs must have gotten to us. The quarterbacks must have been playing as wide receivers, and we must have been out of offensive linemen. I have absolutely no idea. We have 5 ties in the all-time series. And with that being said, if you take out all the ties, because, man, it is a win or loss record, Texas is going to have a 67% winning percentage over the fighting Texas A&M Aggies. So whenever I started following college football, I don't know about you, man, I'm 40 years old. I started following college football whenever I was 15 years old, so that's going to make it 1995. So going back to 1995, Texas has a 67% winning record over Texas A&M. They are 12-5 over that span, 12 wins to 5 losses. So is that really a rivalry? Whenever you are beating your opponent, whenever you're beating your quote-unquote rivalry, 12 wins to 5 losses, is that a rivalry? With that being said, I view our biggest rivalry in that time, of course you do as well, as probably going to be the University of Oklahoma. And during that same time frame, the University of Texas has 10 wins, and the OU Oklahoma The Sooners, Boomer Sooners, they have 15. So they have 5 more wins. So that is a true rivalry by my estimation. But the Longhorns and the Aggies, it is going to be 12 wins to 5 losses. I don't know if that's quite a rivalry. But before that, the University of A&M, they did go on a little bit of a run, and we will get into that. So, Mr. D. Taylor, what do you think about the SEC movement? I'll go ahead and I'll talk about that as well. I believe it's big for recruiting. I believe it's major for recruiting. I believe it pisses off A&M. What it does to A&M is it takes away their number one pitch. It takes away their number one recruit. Their recruiting pitch is if you want to play in the SEC, and if you want to play SEC, and if you want to play in the great state of Texas, you have to play for the Texas A&M Aggies, and that will no longer be the case, and that pisses them off. They somehow thought they had some sort of gentleman's agreement, a firm handshake, no writing on the wall to have the University of Texas not be allowed into the SEC. So I love the move. I think it's time for us to play big time at major college football. Not that the Big 12 wasn't Power 5 football, but compared to the SEC, man, it is apples and oranges. It is a little bit bigger difference of football. There is just recruits that are just SEC kids, and that is just the way it is. We start talking to these kids. We start trying to pitch the brand. We start pitching the Texas logo, the Texas brand. We start talking about we are Texas, Texas fight, everything that we have to offer, all the national championships, the top 5 in total wins, and it means nothing because we don't play that SEC ball. We are not putting recruits into the league like they do in the SEC, as they do own the draft year in and year out, and that is what 100% moves the needle with these kids. D. Taylor, man, you know it as much as I do. That is what moves the needle with these kids. It's not only draft picks. As Texas, we are putting some kids into the league. It is first round draft picks. They want to see the 1 through 32. They want to have that first round draft pick. If you're talking about first round draft pick and you're talking about 5-star recruits, talk about the University of Alabama. You want to talk about what they do in 5-star recruits, in turning 5-star recruits into first round draft picks. They hit that clip at a 51 or a 52% clip, I do believe. That is amazing. So with that being said, if you go to the University of Alabama, and if you are a 5-star commit, you are a true 5-star recruit, there is a 51 or 52% chance that you will not only be drafted, that you will be drafted in the first round of the NFL, man. And that as a pitching tool is absolutely unbeatable. It is absolutely unmatchable in football, in today's football right now. So I love the move, man. I absolutely love the move. I love the move because we'll start playing Aggie again. We'll start playing Arkansas again. We'll start creating these new big-time rivalries, and we'll start creating these big-time new rivalries. I'm very excited about that. Of course, I'm going to miss, playing Baylor. Of course, I'm going to miss playing the University of Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, guns up. Always loved playing in Lubbock. But it is time to move on to bigger and better pastures, bigger and better fields, and those bigger and better atmospheres and those bigger and better fields. And it's in the Southeast Conference. You know it is. What we are Texas fans are going to have a problem. We are going to have a problem adjusting to the SEC. It's not only going to be between the lines. It's not only going to be in the trenches. It is going to be our fan base as well. I just don't see us yelling the name SEC, the chant SEC. We are Texas, Texas fight. That is what we do. I do believe that we will yell SEC this season to goat other universities whenever we're on the road or whenever we're home, and our fans are excited, we're pumped up about going to the SEC, and just to let the other team know that we are moving on, that we are moving up and moving on to the SEC, kind of sort of a trash talking kind of sort of statement. I believe you will hear that from our fans, but I don't believe that will to be really to bolster the SEC brand. I don't think that will be actually to be pushing the SEC brand. I just think that will be really to be trash talking the opponent, to be just jabbing the opponent. If once the University of Texas just chant SEC during the games during this season. That's going to be my overall opinion on SEC. Just as a thought. But man, are we? Is the University of Texas? Are we ready? Yeah, Texas fight all day. We are Texas fight. So with that being said, is Texas ready? Let's talk about the groups that I think that we are good, that we are ready, that we can't possibly be SEC ready. First of all, let's talk about the defensive line. We are pretty much full loaded on the defensive line. Colburn on the defensive tackle. You know that, oh dear Lord, Billy Gamble, do you think the move to the SEC will help some of the kids who decide to go out of state? So you're talking about the ones that go out of state, that just want to go to the SEC. I believe that it will help out with that. I think that it will also help out that we will cut into 2 to possibly 3 recruits from Aggie as well a year, and that will be major. That will cut into a slice into Aggie's pie majorly. I do believe that will put a damper into the SEC straight up coming into the DFW area, coming into the Houston area, and also coming into the hotbed that is also the beast, East Texas, as well as Longview. There's big-time major recruits coming out of there. Tyler is another hotbed, another big-time area for recruits as well. Is going to be the Tyler area. So I believe Texas won't ever be able to lock our state. We won't be able to put a fence around the state like the state of Louisiana does. No state holds down the state like LSU does in Louisiana, man. They absolutely hold it down. The Corn Dog, man, hold down their state like no other. If you're a top recruit in the great state of Louisiana, there's about a 99.7 chance that you are going to go and play for the Fighting Bayou Bengals, and that's what's up. But I do think that it will stop the floodgates. I do think it will stop Alabama coming in and getting the 1, 2, and 3 like they did this past year. Alabama got the number 1 running back, they got the number 1 offensive lineman, and they got the number 1. They got Samara Weed was the number 1 running back. They got the number 1 offensive lineman, and they got the number 1 linebacker out of the great state of Texas as well. 1, 2, 3 in that position. We cannot let that happen. We cannot let them get the best top talent as well. They're already going to poach. The SEC will poach. LSU is going to poach. Mississippi State's going to poach. The Arkansas schools, of course, they're going to poach. OU will continue their pipeline. That's a tradition they have been laying down ever since the late 70s and into the 80s. With that being said, the SEC will continue to recruit heavily in the Texas, but they won't take in the highly rated recruits week in and week out, year in and year out. You won't see the number 1 running back, the number 1 lineman, and the number 1 linebacker all going to Alabama. I don't believe you'll ever see that again from the great state of Texas. I hope we don't ever see that again. Hopefully we can definitely stop that. But talking about position groups where we are SEC ready, I do believe that our defensive line is deep. I do believe that we are strong on the defensive line. Another position group, the tight end group, I do believe we're deep on that. We have Cade Brewer coming into his 6th season. Not that he's going to be on that team, but we do have young guys coming in at that tight end, that flex position. We do have my guy Juan Davis. He is a class of 2021 guy. We do have Gunnar Helm as well, another class of 2021 guy, straight up tight end. Played that split tight end, played also wide receiver up there in Cherry Creek, Colorado, and the 5-star Mr. Doing Everything coming out of Denton Ryan as well. Will also be playing that tight end flex position starting out as well. Will he ultimately land in that position? I don't know, but he will be starting out in that position as well. But Billy Graham, that's how I see it as far as position groups that are already ready. Or that we're looking good at, or that I do like, that are depth coming into the SEC. Another position group that I like, quarterback. Whoever our quarterback's going to be, Whether it's going to be Hudson Card, whether it's still going to be Casey Thompson, whether one of those two guys are going to be into the fold, whether it's the fact that we do in fact develop Malik Murphy, or we do in fact land the unicorn, we do land Arch Manning in the class of 2023, and he takes us to the promised land. I do have faith that in Coach Sark. He is 1-1A quarterback guru, in my personal opinion, along with Lincoln Riley up there in Oklahoma. Recruiting quarterback position is never going to be a problem as long as Coach Sark is going to be our head coach here at the University of Texas. Another area that I do feel that we're strong entering the SEC, as long as we have Coach Banks recruiting special teams, I believe we're all fine there. Year in, year out, I believe for the past decade, Coach Banks has been recognized not only as an awesome recruiter, but pretty much as the best special teams coach in all the nation. So not only do we land him for recruiting, but special teams as well. As long as we do have Coach Banks, we will be elite in special teams. That's something I do wholeheartedly believe, and you should as well. And you should wholeheartedly believe that as the dedication you look in the class of 2022 is we took a long snapper. We offered a scholarship to a place kicker and a long snapper. And that is after holding a scholarship to a punter this past season in Peyton Piercy. So not Peyton Piercy, and the other Aussie whose name not coming to my Pearson. The other Australian punter that we did offer. So that in 2 consecutive years, we have 3 scholarship offers for special teams. So we are making a big time commitment to special teams. So I do believe that special teams will be an area that we are going to have depth or going to be the best at that coming into the SEC / will we be SEC ready on these special teams? I say yes. Running back, I love the way that we look at the running back right now. Bijan Robinson, if he is going to be the running back that we have entering, enter the SEC. If we enter the SEC after this past season, me personally, I'm not a class of 25 guy entering the SEC. I believe money will talk. I believe that somehow, some way, ESPN, however, either we have the money for the buyout, the money will be there, and that the University of Texas and Oklahoma will be in playing big time SEC ball in 2022. So whenever I'm talking about these position groups, I'm talking about us coming in and being ready in 2022 in these position groups. Leading on, we're also going to have Jaden Blue, the commit as well from the class of 2022. My personal opinion, most definitely a top 3 running back in the class of 22. We're also going to have Jonathan Brooks, the sleeper pick in the class of 2021, the 4-star running back coming straight out of Hallettsville. Mr. Everything out of Hallettsville is a heart and soul out of that team. Mr. Loyal to the soil. Absolutely love what Jonathan Brooks love what he brings coming out of the backfield at that running back position. So running back, I believe that we're going to be fine coming out of the Big 12 and entering the SEC. With that being said, coaching, I believe that we have an all-star coaching staff. Coach Choate, our defensive coordinator, Coach PK, Bo Davis, the defensive line coach, Steve Sarkisian, on and on and on, the special teams coach, Banks. I believe that we are loaded not only in recruiting, but also in coaching and development. I absolutely love what they're bringing to the table. From sideline to sideline, from coast to coast, and on both sides of the ball, I love what the coaching staff is bringing. Not only the coaching staff, I do like what Tori Bechting is bringing to the table as well, our strength and conditioning coordinator, as he's our strength and conditioning coach, whatever. As he is not only bringing strength, as he's bringing functional strength. So back whenever we did have Coach Tom Herman as the head coach, we were mainly focusing on building up that armor. We were mainly focusing on just strength, and we weren't really focusing on explosive movement. So our wide receivers, our cornerbacks, and our safeties, all those guys that are supposed to be working, running backs, supposed to be working on explosive movements, they were just putting on armor, putting on weight, and getting stronger rather than working on explosiveness. And that is not what it's being under. That's not how it's being held under position coach Tori Beckman. As the strength as conditioning, I believe will be up to par entering the SEC as well. The position groups that we will be lacking entering the SEC, that we will not be ready, in my estimation, that we will be forced into the fire, that we will need some more developing, that we need more time to develop, without a doubt. Group number one, I'm bringing up the guys up front on the offensive side of the ball. I'm bringing up the offensive side of the line. We do have 9 4-star recruits on the 40 already on campus this year, but it's all about development. We've yet to have a first-round offensive lineman in many, many years. We've had Sam Cosme come out second rounder. We have had the guard get drafted out of Coppell, now playing a guard for the Dallas Cowboys. We've had some success on the offensive line, but first round draft picks we need on the offensive side of the ball, on the offensive line side of the ball, and the biggest position group of need, without a doubt, is going to be offensive line. We need to start that with the class of 2022. Already have a good commit. Like I did talk about much earlier in this podcast, that I did talk about much earlier in this live stream. Love what we do have in Connor Robertson and Cole Hudson already, but we do need to bring it home with the guys. We do need to make an influence on Cam Dewberry. We'd love to have that outside body tackle. We do need to get it going on with Mr. DJ Campbell out of Arlington Bowie. We need that 5-star commit at the O-line position. We have only had 4 5-star commits here in the great state of Texas since that deposit rating has started in 2000, I believe it was 1999, whenever it was. They actually did start rating these prospects by 3, 4, and 5 stars. But with that being said, offensive line, we most definitely need to bolster up entering the SEC. On the defensive side of the ball, 2 position groups of need. Defensive backs, if we're entering the SEC, I believe that we would get lit up. Cornerbacks especially. Just after this year, we are absolutely thin. Jameson looks really good for us as our starting corner. The kid from McNeese State is going to be our other starting corner as well. We do have some good slot guys as well, but depth, and after this year, we're definitely going to need defensive back. We do have some guys. Jaden Thompson, love what he's bringing to the table. This is past freshman year. I do like Mr. DJ Coffey, the hard-hitting sideline-to-sideline free safety coming out of Kennedale, Texas. Absolutely broke a kid's ankle his senior year of high school when he didn't even hit him in the ankle. Hit him up top, boom, exploded that body, exploded through that hips, and absolutely big-time playmaker, big-time hitter is DJ Coffey. So we do have the defensive backs, but we do need more, and the ones that we do have, we do need to develop them. And the last position group that I do believe that we need help on the defensive side of the ball is going to be the linebackers. Coming straight up on the defensive side of the ball, the linebacker, we are thin, we are young, and we are young and thin. You know what I mean? That's really all I got to say about that. We are implementing a new style of defense. We are implementing a new attack style of defense. And the linebackers are going to be something of need entering the SEC, man. You know it, I know it, and we are going to need some help entering the SEC. So what other questions for me do you have as of right now? If you are just entering the live stream, my name is AK. I'm the owner, operator, moderator, guys on Texas channel. Please give me a like if you have not yet done so. And if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so as well. As I do have over 1,040 subscribers. Don't need really help in that department, but do need some watch time hours. Do need you guys to go ahead and make some comments below if you'd like to go ahead and fill out and see what else you guys want to talk about, man. Always do have the same people up in here. Love seeing Ken Crockett. Always good to see him. Horns up to you, sir, as well. Mr. Billy Gamble, of course, hands up to you, sir. Billy, how have you doing, my friend? Always asking good questions. Mr. D. Taylor, agreeing with me. Texas fight. I believe that we are most definitely going to have a problem when it comes to the SEC, making those adjustments. I don't see our fan base with the SEC chant. I really just don't see it. I really don't see us just chanting SEC, SEC, SEC. I just don't see it. What are y'all? What are your comments? Do you guys believe that we will do the SEC chant, or is it Texas fight all the way? Who do you believe will be the first 5-star that will commit? DJ Campbell, because he's pretty much the only other one that's really crystal ball to us is going to be Evan Stewart, and he also just got another crystal ball to University of Florida, actually. So take it at that. When it comes to Evan Stewart, and with that crystal ball to the University of Florida, and him talking about his new rise of interest of Florida, he's always been interested in Florida. That's no doubt. That's no doubt 100%. But really, whenever it does, what you do need to think about whenever talking about Evan Stewart is he might be doing it for likes. He might be doing it for views. Evan Stewart just really might be trying to broaden his horizon. You know what I mean? Just get some more Instagram followers, some more TikTok followers, so he can broaden his view that way. So with the fact that he is, I do believe his interest with the University of Florida is real. I do believe the fact that the interest level, rise in the interest level, let's have you, is real. But I do believe that Texas is still the leader at this moment with Evan Stewart. So I would have to say DJ Campbell is probably the first 5-star that we commit. And that'd be major, man. I've gone on record here time in, time out, day in and day out on these live streams with y'all saying that regardless of position, regardless of player, 100% the most important player is DJ Campbell in this class of 2022 recruiting style, hands down. The fact that we missed last year on the Brockemeyer twins, Coach Herb Hand did not do us any justice at all whatsoever. The fact that we need to 100% do a 360, a 180 degrees, and start fresh with this class of 2022 cycle is absolutely amazing. So the number one most important recruit in the class of 22, regardless of position, even if Quinn Ewers were to sign with the University of Texas, in my estimation, is going to be DJ Campbell. It's because he has been a Texas lean for so long. He has been crystal ball for Texas for so long. His interest level for Texas has been so long. He looks so damn good in those colors already, playing for Arlington Bowie, of course, as you know. Their logo is already the Longhorns, so he already is wearing the colors, already is looking good in that logo. So DJ Campbell is a must-get in the class of 2022. What other questions, comments, concerns do you have for me right now in this podcast? Mr. Billy Gamble, fire away, sir. But I will have to admit, I am a bit more proud. I'm a bit more proud that I did start the live stream on time this time, and it didn't mess up. I didn't have any. I did have a little small issue with the audio just right up front. That's because I forgot to plug something in, but that didn't last very long at all. And in fact, that I didn't have to do 2 and 3 different live streams, so I am in fact getting it down just a little bit more. For you guys, I am liking that, man. So if you are new to this, please subscribe to the channel, guys, on Texas channel. I am going to be doing lots of more interesting stuff once the football season starts. I am going to be doing a pregame for every single game, every single Saturday. I am going to have a morning horning show. I am going to do a weekly show, I believe 2 to 3 times a week for you guys in the morning. Not early morning, because I do have some late night responsibilities that does keep me up late at night. But as far as a daily morning show, man, you should be really excited about that. That is something that I am going to get going for you guys. I am going to get a morning show for you guys. I'm going to call it the early morning horning. It is going to be about football and life, so it's going to be early morning horning, starting the day off with Longhorns and life. That's going to be pretty much what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be talking about Texas Longhorns football and what is going on in the day and the interesting topics of conversation. But Mr. D. Taylor, do you think we get any of do we get any of the offensive tackles in the 22 class? All right, that's a good question, man. So let's go ahead and look at the offensive line big board. Let's see who we do have. All right, so class of 2022, when we're talking about offensive tackles, just so I get them all up, just so I can just talk about all of them and not miss them. All right, so if we're looking at kind of sort of the top guys, and we did talk about offensive tackles, let's go ahead and talk about them all. Kelvin Banks, he did decide to go quack, the 5-star tackle body from Summer Creek in Humble, Texas. I think this might be an NIL thing. The University of Oregon did, in fact, swoop in and take him from from A&M, really, to be quite honest with you. Calvin Banks, we did miss out on him. Someone else, a big-time tackle body that we do have an offer out, who is yet to commit, who is still a little bit warm in the waters, is going to be Josh Connery Jr. He is going to be a 5-star recruit. I do believe he does stay out on the West Coast. I don't know if he stays in the state of Washington, but I do believe he does stay in the West Coast. Most of the other guys are going to be already commits. Cam Dewberry, he is going to be one that we do need to get that interest level rising. Ever since we did get the move to the SEC, ever since that SEC talk has been available, his interest has been rising. We do need to get him. We are in the works to get him with an official visit to come down during the year. So Cam Dewberry is one of the offensive tackle bodies that we do need to work on. He is probably one of the biggest targets on the offensive tackle bodies that we could possibly get in this class of 2022. Basically, ever since Kelvin Banks committed, and I do believe like I was talking about, Josh Connolly Jr., the other 5-star from Washington, I believe he is going to stay on the West Coast. So I do believe the best chance that we do at getting a big-time major offensive tackle body is going to be Cam Dewberry. And the move to the SEC did in fact help that. So without a doubt, Cameron Williams, the other offensive lineman that did go quack and decide to pick it up and pack it up and go to the University of Oregon as well. Another big time miss, was a big time miss, and another one that might be another NIL name, image, and likeness. As man, they did just swoop up and take them from the University of Texas and steal that recruitment, steal that commitment. Is a bit of a hard word to say, as they did offer Cameron Williams before the University of Texas did. But man, whenever Texas did come and offering the Duncanville offensive tackle body, we did come strong, man. So those are the ones that we did have an offer for. Those are the ones that we were in the best boat for. So if you're talking about major recruits, I believe that the best one that we do have a chance of landing is going to be Cam Dewberry. Do you think Sark assembled his coaching staff knowing about the move? I do believe so. I believe so. It makes 100% a lot of sense. Ever since they whiffed on getting what they wanted right, they did miss on the unicorn, and he decided that he didn't want to coach again, and he didn't want to coach in Jacksonville, and that's fine, right? But I do believe they did, in fact, know that Steve Sarkisian was there. That's why he did get that staff that he did get. He did know that if you're going to recruit in the SEC, if you're going to get that SEC kid, he did know what they are interested in, right? He knows that they're interested in going to the league and going to the league, period. So he got guys that can recruit in the SEC and that have ties to the NFL. So whenever he was assembling his major coaching staff, whenever he got Coach PK out of Washington, whenever he got Bo Davis as the defensive line coach, whenever he stole banks from the University of Alabama. And whenever he left the University of Alabama himself, CDC knew exactly 100% what he was doing whenever he hired Sark. And I do believe that Sark did know about it. You know what I mean? He did, in fact, know that, hey, look, this is something that we're possibly interested in doing. It's not 100% in the works. It's not 100% a done deal, but it is something that is 100% in the works without a doubt. Would you definitely love? Yeah, would definitely love to get Cam Dewberry without a doubt. Without a doubt. I was making a list of guys to possibly get out as far as we should reach out to, and Timmy G was going to be another one that from going to be Alif Tyler, going to be another 3-star prospect that I liked. He was going to be a 6'6", 275, 285 pound tackle body that I liked. I liked Texas to go ahead and get into the talks and get into the works there and see if we can go ahead and get an offer out there. And before we could do that, he committed to one of the Mississippi schools. I believe he committed to Mississippi State. So before we backtrack, before we have to pivot, before we have to swivel and pivot on these lower rated recruits, we need to keep on talking to the recruits that we do have. We do need to play on the field. I do believe a lot of these recruits want to see it on the field, man. A lot of these big-time 4-star and 5-star recruits, they want to see it on the field. I believe Evan Stewart wants to see it on the field. I do believe Brennan Thompson wants to see it on the field. I do believe Cam Dewberry wants to see it on the field. They want to see this development. They want to see what this offensive line is going to look like. And these quarterbacks and receivers, they want to see what their position actually is going to look like. They saw what it looked like whenever Coach Steve Sarkisian had all the bullets, whenever he had all the weapons, whenever he was in the University of Alabama. They want to see what it's looking like whenever he's the head coach at the University of Texas, whenever it's going to be a little bit more lean, whenever it's as far as talent wise. See if what he and his boys can do is if he can coach them up, or do they just have to have the 4 and 5-star recruits? That's going to be something major. I do 100% believe in the coaching abilities of all the coaches that we do have. I do believe 100% in the recruiting abilities and all the coaches that we do have. With that being said, I do question the recruiting and the offensive line. Year in and year out is something that has lacked at the University of Texas. Like I did say earlier, we've only had 4 5-star recruits, period, and that goes all the way back whenever we won a national championship in 2005 under Matt Brown. Goes all the way back from whenever the composite started back in 1999 or 2000, whenever it was, 21 years ago, man. So that is absolutely major. Only 4 5-star recruits on the offensive side of the ball, on the offensive line side of the ball. So that's something that we do need to beef up. We do need to bolster up, and we do need to coach them up before we start getting those major prospects by their mind. Exactly. You know, Billy, you're right. Exactly right. You're talking about development. We do get the Zach Shackelfords every once in a while, right? Zach Shackelford was ranked in the 1100s as far as the overall recruit, 3-star offensive tackle recruit coming out of high school. But if you do it every once in a while, instead of year in and year out, instead of developing these 3, 4-star guys into pros, it's going to be more on the player than it is going to be the program. So if you just have one guy every once in a couple of years coming through your program who makes it out and to be a draft pick, that's going to be more viewed upon as if the player came up himself. That's how I view it, me personally. If you're churning him in and year out, that is going to be the development. That is going to be the program developing the prospects year in and year out, and that's what they're looking for. So whenever you're talking about player development, you're talking about player development year in and year out, and you're talking about going to the league year in and year out, that is what these guys are looking for 100% of the time. Billy, man, you hit it right in the head, my friend, 100% right. But which position group do you think Texas needs to beef up besides offensive line? Because I do believe that we could all pretty much will agree that offensive line is going to be the group that does need to beef up, that needs to get more coached up, that does need to get recruited over before we do go enter in the SEC, before we do look to be major players in the SEC. Besides the offensive line, what other position group do you think needs the most help? Linebacker, yeah, that would probably be my group. Also with the linebackers, I'm not sure what they're going to be. You know what I mean? Coming in and Coach PK's new style of defense, new scheme of defense. You know, we have a jack linebacker, we have a spur linebacker, we have an X-backer, you know what I mean? So let's see exactly what all these positions are exactly going to look at on the field. And we have DeMarvion Overshawn, who is coming off of that injury. He hasn't had all the time coming off that shoulder injury. He hasn't had all the time to learn Coach PK's defense. So that is going to be a major factor to consider as well. So these cornerbacks, what I'm looking for from Coach PK's defense is going to be the defensive line shift, how they line up, because I do know that Coach PK does like to do shifty things with that defensive line. I do know that Coach PK does like to do some tricky things with that defensive line. But I'm looking forward to our guys making a play on the ball, on the defensive side of the ball, coming from our cornerbacks and safeties. Too many times last year, play in and play out, there was a long throw down the sideline. It looked to me that our defensive player was right in the hip pocket, running stride to stride, stride for stride along with the offensive player. And we never made a play on the ball. We never turned our head to look back. And thus the player either obviously made the reception or we had a PI pass interference and boom, that's a 20-yard penalty. And that is absolutely major. So this is what I'm looking forward to. What I'm looking forward to is our guys turning the heads and making a play on the ball, actually looking at the ball, looking to pick it up, pick it off, make a play on it, and not have the receiver make the reception or get a pass interference. Wide receiver is a position group that I don't believe is ready yet. I agree with you 100%. I do believe this is one of the position group that Sark knows exactly what he wants, man. He has his guys. He has that prototypical outside speed receiver. He knows what he wants. He wants them to be between 6 foot tall, 6'1". He wants them to be 180, 165, 170 pounds, something right in that. He wants them to be blazing, lightning fast. Wants them to stop on a dime, run every tree in the route. Because if you have that capability, if you have that playability, Coach Steve Sarkisian, man, he will get you the ball. I love that boomerang arching play that he have, movement. I love that pre-snap movement whenever he has that slot receiver, that outside receiver just come around and boomerang. I think that really does confuse the defense towards which way that he is going, where he is going to get the ball, because that's what you saw all year long with D6 as he won the Heisman Smith last year. Devontae Smith absolutely teared up game in, game out, week in and week out for the Crimson Tide. You knew that number 6 was going to get the ball, and Sark got it to him anyway. So with the fact that we don't have the wide receivers yet, I believe that with Coach Steve Sarkisian's scheme, I do believe that wide receiver, quarterback, and running back, we won't have any issues recruiting those 3 positions. Ever since he's been an offensive coordinator or head coach, he's had a 1,000-yard rusher. He's viewed as a quarterback guru. So whenever I do agree with you, Mr. D. Taylor, about the wide receiver position group is lacking right now, I do absolutely love what we have with Xavier Worthy. He is proving to be Mr. the Troy O'Meary of this year's camp, as he has absolutely been tearing up in the summer camp. People absolutely loving his speed and his routes
that whenever I watched him, his film, something that I did notice was not only his speed, but it's how he ran. He ran like he was about to make a break. He ran that his next step looked like he could make a cut, and that cut that he was about to make wouldn't slow him down in any way, shape, or form, and it was going to be a sharp, not rounded off movement. That's one of the things that Xavier Worthy brings to the table, and that's going to be one of the things that I believe as a freshman he will make an impact at the wide receiver position. Another wide receiver that could possibly make an impact this year, might get redshirted, is going to be Jaden Alexis. And the reason why is I believe that is his body ready. I believe he has a good body development. He has speed. He's a not 100% absolute burner that Worthy is. He doesn't have the 100% true jets that Worthy does have, but he's got some speed. He can play in the slot and on the outside. So without a doubt, at the wide receiver position, Jaden Alexis is someone that you're definitely going to have to look to possibly not get redshirted this year and get some early PT. But what other questions you guys got for me? I really appreciate you guys staying up here for me. It's Saturday night, man. What time is it? It's 10:30, 10:53, almost 11 o'clock in the PM. I'm still going strong if y'all still want to talk about it. What other questions y'all do have for me is I'm really excited that we got D. Brown. I thought that we were going to get Jeremy Patton. What do you think about Jeremy Patton? What do y'all think happened there? If anybody wants to talk about that. As he did go to Baylor. Very impressionable kid. Patton is. Loved Jeremy Patton. Loved his game. I love the player that was a wide receiver and transitions to the defensive side of the ball. I love that. We saw it last year in Jaden Smith, I believe his name was, as he was from South Oak Cliff, as he played wide receiver, and he ended up signing with the Arizona State Sun Devils as a blitzing defensive end. Absolutely love seeing that. And Jeremy Patton is someone else who started out as on the offensive side of the ball as a wide receiver, and I love that. One of the reasons why I love that, because whenever you know that you're getting a recruit, and whenever you know that you're getting a recruit that was a wide receiver, he's going to have what? Speed and athleticism. And that's something that you cannot teach, man. You cannot teach speed, and you cannot teach athleticism. And if you want to play wide receiver in college, and if you want to play wide receiver in major high school ball, you got to have that in the great state of Texas. So if you're going to move down in position, if you're going to spin down in position, if you're going to switch on the defensive side of the ball and play linebacker or blitzing in, I love it whenever those guys start out as wide receivers. Love it. All right, Billy Gamble, do you think currently we have more talent at wide receiver or cornerback? Honestly, I have more confidence in the wide receivers. Yeah, without a doubt. I'd say the talent is different, to be honest with you. And what I mean by that is the cornerback talent that we have, I believe, is a bit senior laden. I believe it's a bit more in the juniors and seniors. I believe that the DBs, the defensive backs that we have that are more talented, I believe they're younger. That's going to be your Jamaria Johnsons. That's going to be your DJ Coffees. That's going to be your Jaron Thompsons. Those kind of sort of guys. Look, man, all the defensive backs that we took in the class of 24, in the class of 2021, they were all 4-star recruits. So the fact that they are young, they're talented. So to answer your question, man, I think we have more talent on the defensive side of the ball at cornerback. I just believe it, or let's say defensive back, not necessarily cornerback. But I do believe it is going to be a bit more youth. I don't believe that Sark really does have his guys that he wants right now. We do have Jordan Whittinson, Jay Witt, absolute 5-star baller to commit. He's yet to do anything. He's been injury prone since his time in the 40. We'd love to see him ball out. We'd love to see him play up to his potential. But who do I think is more talented? I think the talent is different, man. I do believe that we have much younger talent on the defensive side of the ball, and we don't quite have the receivers that Sark does want yet.
All right. I was surprised that he picked Baylor when everything going on.
Right, yeah, that's what you got to think about. Like, why would you choose Baylor at this time now? Whenever they're in the turmoil, whenever the Big 12 is in turmoil, right? Will there even be a Big 12 in the class of 2020 in 2022? Who knows? Me personally, I believe this is going to be the last year of the Big 12. Will Baylor go independent? Will they get signed on with the Pac-12? Will they get signed on with the Big 10? Me personally, I don't really see the Pac-12 taking them. I think that Baylor and TCU are going to have a hard time going into the Pac-12 or Pac-14, whatever they have right now. And that's really going to be with their religious ties with faith. Whenever you're talking about Cal Berkeley, I know they ain't hearing it. I know they don't want any faith-based programs in their conference showing up to their program. I do know that they don't want that happening right now. So I do know on Cal Berkeley that they don't want to have Baylor. I do know that on Cal Berkeley they don't want to have TCU. So that's what's up with that. So when it comes to TCU, when it comes to Baylor, those faith-based programs, I do believe they are going to have a little bit of issue. They're going to have a little bit of a trouble with finding a home. And with the fact that Jeremy Patton chose Baylor over Texas whenever they're in a turmoil, man, I don't really know what's up with that. What's up, Mr. Texas Homer? How you doing, brother? It's always good hearing from you. It's good to see you on the live stream tonight. Apparently, you didn't have any hot dates along with me, myself, in here. So it's good to see you on the live stream, live chat. I've just been talking about commitments, been talking about recruiting, the topics that I normally do talk about. If you have any questions for me, Homer, man, just go ahead and fire away. You know the deal, you know the drill. Any questions, good for me. I'll do my best to answer it any way, shape, or the form that I can. Anybody that's new to the program, that's new on here right now, I am AK. I've been doing this for just right about a year right now. So if you would please like this video, as that does help out with the algorithm. And if you've yet to subscribe to the program, please do so, as that does help me as well. We've just been talking about the quarterback position, the wide receiver position. What position do you think we are SEC ready? Obviously, on the offensive side of the ball, I believe we are lacking on the offensive side, on the offensive line. Defensively, DBs, we are definitely thin whenever we get past this year. I do like what we have in Jameson. I do like what we have in him. We do have some other players on the 40 that are juniors and seniors that can fill in and play that slot. I do like what we have in Green as well, coming up being a senior for us. But mainly our defensive backs, what we do have on the 40 class of 21, they were all 4-star recruits. So we do have talent on the defensive side of the ball. We do have talent in the defensive backside, on the defensive backfield. It's just youth. Jaden Thompson is absolutely going to be a baller for us in the safety position. DJ Coffee is absolutely going to be a baller for us. Another safety position. Jamaria Johnson, a fluid athlete coming out of California. We have another physical cornerback coming out of the Dallas area, in Dallas Kimball, in Malik. So without a doubt, we do have talent in the defensive side of the ball, the defensive backfield, but we are absolutely not ready to play past this year, as we do need to develop that talent. On the offensive side of the ball, wide receivers, we're not quite there yet, but having C. Sarkisian as our head coach, I do have full faith at the skill positions He's had a 1,000-yard rusher every single year he's been an offensive coordinator, or every single year he's been a head coach. He's had a 1,000-yard rusher. He did have D6, winning the Heisman last year, week in and week out. Everybody knew where the ball was going, making plays week in and week out for the Crimson Tide, having 3 touchdowns, 200 yards in the first half alone of the national title game. People know what he brings on that side of the ball. The wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks, they will come. It's the hog mollies on the offensive side of the line that we need to prove, in my personal opinion. I have full faith in Coach Kyle Flood, but I want to see the results. I want to see the results as far as commits, and I believe the recruits themselves want to receive the results on the field themselves. So with the offensive side of the ball and the offensive side of the line, we need to show them on the field. We need to show them working as a cohesive unit and developing and making plays and starting and showing cohesive unit and working together and getting those guys pumped up and working together, so prospects will want to see that growth, see that development, and thus want to come to the University of Texas. JD is my favorite safety prospect in a minute. Hey man, Texas Homer, I have a little bit of insight on JD Coffee. It's just not really an angle that I do want to work. If you do want to talk to me about it, it's just not really an angle that I do want to work. I know some people who know JD. I might possibly look to have some sort of communication. But JD Coffee, oh man, the Kennedale Punisher. I don't know if you saw the hit that he laid out last year. Pretty much, the main reason why I made the Punisher video was that smackdown that he put on that poor kid coming off the edge, where he broke that ankle. It sounded like a gun coming off the edge whenever he hit that poor man. But without a doubt, JD Coffee is one of the guys that I do like. Another person that I do like, now that we're talking to you, Homer, another guy out of your backfield, man. What do you think about the kid from Denton Ryan? What do you think about Austin Jordan, AJ? One of the things that I like about him is that versatility. The ability whenever you're playing football, you need to have the ability to play on the field week in and week out, and you need to have the versatility to be on the field, play 1, 2, and 3. And that's one thing that I believe Austin Jordan has in folds, right? I do like the fact that he can play on the outside, and he has the speed to run with those outside corners. I do know that. He did give up some big plays downfield that I would not like to see on the outside. So those outside receivers, he can play in the slot. And of course, as a safety, you know Austin Jordan can ball up, man up that position as well. But he did get the majority of his run at Denton Ryan at a cornerback. So whenever you're talking about Austin Jordan, the 4-star commit that we did get recently just a couple of weeks ago, and Denton Ryan, of course, is going to be the same alma mater that our boy the Homer is for. So knowing the inside scoop of the Red Raiders from Denton Ryan, and that's something that we do need to lay down the pipeline, man. Without a doubt, we need to lay down the pipeline to Denton Ryan. Would love to see that pipeline in Duncanville, Deville as well. South Lake, Carroll, the Houston area. There's just plenty of programs that I would just love for the University of Texas to just get in bed with their coaching staff. North Shore, I always talk about North Shore. Whenever I talk about North Shore, I'm always going to be talking about that development. I'm going to be talking about that lower body development. To me, those dudes are thick-legged. And that's what I love about the fact that we got Chris Ross as a defensive lineman out of that program. So when you look at that young man, he's ready to play. I don't want to say that we get a diamond in the rough with him. It's because he's a top 200 player himself. He is a 4-star recruit. But without a doubt, love what they're doing down there in North Shore.
Even their quarterback they had this past year, what's his name, Demetrius Young. I'm forgetting his name right now, but he committed and he's ended up going to the Barn. He's going up to Auburn. That's one thing that we got to do is we got to get these nicknames down right now for all these new programs that we're going to. If y'all don't know them, the Barn is Auburn. That's what they go by. They're the Barn. It's an SEC thing. They put nicknames on all their players and all their teams, and that's what they like to do. Going down the list, the ones that I know off the top of my head, we have the Corn Dogs of LSU. I'm not quite sure why. I believe the story behind that is everybody saw a bunch of LSU fans and believe they smelled like a whole bunch of corn dogs, and that's what it is down around there. Talking about the Gumps. You have the Gumps down there at, of course, the Gumps are going to be Alabama, the Crimson Tide, the Gumps, Bubba Gump. They're, of course, making fun of shrimp, and more shrimp there. The Voltard of Tennessee. That's going to be the one that I'm looking forward to. That's going to be the one that I'm most interested in. I want to see what y'all know, what y'all's comments are going to be on down below, because we all know who the real horns up are. We all know who the real UT is. It's this one right here. It's the Tejas. It's right here. I got the hats. I got about 14 different hats. I got them all day long. I can wear them all day long for you guys. The hats, the real UT is right here. It's not Tennessee. It's not Rock Top, Jockey Hop, or whatever it is they call themselves. It is the University of Texas. We are Texas. Texas fight. I don't see us saying the SEC chant. The only time I hear us saying the SEC chant is whenever we are at our home games and we are beating an opponent and we are just intimidating them, poking fun, poking the bear, say we are leaving the conference, we are leaving y'all, we are on to better and greener pastures, and that's the only time that I see the Texas fans really busting out the SEC chant with me personally. Texas Homer talking about Austin Jordan says he likes him a lot and he has awesome instincts for interceptions. Like a safety, but he can lock up dudes for a corner. He's almost a hybrid DB. Yeah, man, talking about a hybrid DB, isn't that pretty much what Coach PK wants from all of his DBs? I've said this a time or two before on my program before. Whenever Coach PK was at the University of Washington, I don't believe he had cornerbacks. I don't believe he had safeties actually listed by position. I believe they were just all DBs. So definitely cross-training is something that Coach PK and Coach Sark is going to have implemented at our Texas program. So the fact that Austin Jordan is versatile, he can play that outside corner, he can play that slot corner, and he is a safety. I believe when it is all said and done, I believe whenever he's a junior, let's see whenever he is at year 3, and he is a starter year in and year out, basically not year in and year out, day in and day out, week in and week out, play in and play out, I believe it's going to be at a safety position. At corner this past year, I would like to see that. Improvement on the outside corner. He did get beat a little bit more times than I would like to have seen, but he has that speed. He has that turn and burn speed to play corner. He is sub 1100. I'm sorry, he is sub 1100, 11 seconds in the 100. So he does have that breakaway speed. So without a doubt. So the hybrid DB is what everybody's looking for. You know what I mean? We want every single DB to play a little bit of the slot. We want to play a little bit of that bump and run. We want every single bit of DB to have that flexibility to play a bump and run corner, right? Because you've got to be able to hold up your own. You've got to be able to play man-to-man. Whenever it's all comes said and down, when it all comes down to, football is less about schemes, and it's all about whipping the man in front of you. You can scheme up and scheme down, in and out, day in, day out. You can write up the most awesome defensive scheme, trick plays, switching up your defensive linemen, stunts, gap stunts, whatever you want to do. When it all comes down to it, do you have the strength, the ability, the want to, the have to whip the man in front of you? That's what that's what football comes down to. That's what SEC football comes down to, and it comes down to it in the trenches. But Texas Homer, I would be proud too, man, if I came from a school as illustrious in the football department as you are. Whenever I was in football, I came from Grapevine. We were winning state titles whenever I was there, so playing time was hard to come by whenever I was there. We had many top recruits whenever I was playing high school ball myself. But I don't come from a storied program such as Denton Ryan has developed into. Not coming from Duncanville, something like that. Those kids are straight killing it there. Absolutely loving what we're having to look forward to with Texas high school football. So if you follow Texas high school football as well, in addition to college football, in addition to Texas Longhorn football, I also follow that as well. So if you're interested in Texas high school football, definitely going to have some of that coming down the pipe for y'all as well. Yeah, man, North Shore develops kids. They come at the JUCO level, not high school level. Yeah, I agree with you. I kind of sort of say with those North Shore kids, you can basically just chop their heads off, and they all look the same below the neck, man. They're all thick-legged dudes. They all got that big bubble butt on the defensive line, and that's where the power comes from. That's where the squats, the lower squats, the power cleans, the more complex movements, the more compound and complex movements come into effect. Compound movements, obviously, going to be your squat, going to be your bench press, deadlift along those lines. Complex movements, that's going to be your clean and jerk. That's going to be your power cleans. That's going to be your more movement and procedures such like that. That's what really develops these football players. That's what develops in explosion for these trench line players on the offensive side and the defensive side of the ball. These defensive ends, these defensive tackles, these guards, centers. That's where it's come from, is these compound and complex movements. Yeah, detail. The real UT is real UT Austin. That is something that once we come to the SEC, that is something that Voltard, that Rock Top, Jockey Hop, Smoky Top is going to have to deal with, man. Voltard is definitely going to have to deal with Big T and BT, the real T being Texas. Texas fight, and that's what's up with that. I don't know what they're going to do with their symbol, but we're the same colors, and we have that same T. I believe that's all they're recognized. I don't know if they have a second symbol. Of course, obviously, we have the horn and the T. We also have the 1960s logo with the more meaner looking longhorn with the snot coming out of the bullring nose, the 1960s logo. But that is something that is going to have to go. That is something that is going to have to change. Not going to know what's going to have to understand what's going to happen with the T versus little T situation. But yeah, we are Texas. We are the real UT. And whenever we are in the SEC, we will continue that way. Going back to Tennessee, I'm really not sure what they did this past offseason with paying their prospects in the university in McDonald's bags. I really don't understand that. Whenever they knew they have the name, image, and likeness thing coming up, you can pay the players. I'm not understanding the fact of why they wanted to pay the players in McDonald's bags. I think the bagman is going to go away. I believe the bagman should go away in college football. But the fact that we do have the name, image, and likeness thing, and Voltard is still paying the players with Biggie size number 2 in a sack with cheese is a bit funny to me. Biggest impact this year, Adamora or Thompson? I'm gonna have to say Thompson. I like what he's definitely gonna bring on a defensive side of the ball, on a cornerback there. So that's what I gotta go. I gotta go with Josh Thompson on that area there. Yeah. But TX 2005, it's good to see you in here. Good to see you in the live stream, sir. I do believe I've seen you in here a couple times before. Horns up to you, sir. Anybody else that's new to the program, new to the live stream, absolutely excited about having Derrick Brown, as he looks good for in that uniform already looking good in the colors. Already looking forward to what he's going to bring to on the 40. The edge rusher, the 4-star commit. He is a top 300 player, just in the top 300, nationally rated 298 by 247 Sports. I do know that some people do like IT. I do know people like Inside Texas. I'm more of a 247 Sports. I like their the commentary that they do provide to their supporters and their fans, and I do believe that they have the most consistency in their grading, and that's the ones that I choose to go to. But whatever one that you choose to go to as far as your recruiting composite site is all up to you, man. But what other questions, what other queries do you have for me right now, guys? I can keep going as long as we're up in here, and as long as we're talking about football, and as long as we got the questions going, I'm all good. But we did talk about Jeremy Patton earlier, and I don't know exactly why he did go to Baylor. If anybody has any insight into that, especially with Baylor not really having a known future, you know what I mean? Their future really being up in the air, with the Big 12 future being up in the air. What's going to happen, you know what I mean? I'm not quite sure what is going to happen with the Big 12. I do know that Bowlesby is doing his damnedest to make sure that it is the hardest for the University of Texas and for the Sooners to leave. I do know that he is making it the most expensive way possible for us to leave, and he is expecting us to hold up until 2025. I do know that Mr. Bowlesby sent out a cease and desist letter. Did y'all see the cease and desist order? I thought that was a bit hilarious, my personal offense. I don't know if the cease and desist letter was necessary, but it was real. So competition is real for the University of Texas and the University of Oklahoma for the football programs for the 22 season and beyond. Me personally, I believe we'll be playing SEC ball in 2022. I believe, me personally, this is going to be the last year of the Big 12, personally. But that's going to be it for me, man, as far as what I have for you guys. As far as the show, whatever questions, whatever queries y'all have for me, guys, right now. If any of y'all don't know who the Texas Homer is, he is also another YouTuber. He puts out awesome content, man. He is video and editing skills is through the roof. He is an absolute inspiration to all of us who do the YouTube thing, and very glad to have him on the program. Very glad to have him offer all these questions up and for his banter back and forth, man. Very good to have the Homer on here. So thanks again for having him to you. If we do have any more questions for me right now, guys, I do appreciate everybody coming in here for tonight's live stream, as we do have a commitment in the class of 2022. I thought this weekend we were going to get 2 commits. Personally, that a boy already subscribed to Texas Homer as well. Pretty much, if you are knowing my content, you're going to know the Homer as well. But do just want to make sure that do want to give my man, the Homer, the proper due respect that he does deserve. Do you think both quarterbacks will play week 1? I don't know. To be honest with you, I do believe Sark is going to make his pick, and I believe that he is going to make that pick, and he is going to stick with it. To be honest with you, I am a Hudson Card guy. I believe he will end up winning the starting job. I do believe he's a more true thrower of the football. I do believe that he is a more student of the game. I do believe he is the more accurate passer. I saw just what everybody saw, what we saw in out of Casey Thompson, the Alamo Bowl. I do remember those 4 touchdowns that he threw. We ended up being for 250 yards, whatever he was, in relief of Sam Ellinger. And he did show us everything that we were not getting from Sam. He did drive the ball down the field, but I am going to be in the belief that it is going to be Hudson Card, and that once Sarkisian finds his quarterback, I think that he's going to stick with it, to be quite honest with you. I don't think that we're going to see this coaching carousel. And I do believe that Lala is going to be a real test for us. I do believe the University of Louisiana is going to be a big-time opponent for us. I do believe we're double-digit favorites to beat them. I don't necessarily say that we shouldn't be double-digit favorites. I do believe that we are the most talented program, but they're bringing back a lot of people, man. University of Louisiana, the Cajuns over there, I believe they're bringing back 19 or 20 of their starters from last year. That's a lot of people, man. That's a lot of players. That's a lot of prospects. That's a lot of people who spent time in the program that last week, that whole entire last year. So I don't think that we're going to have a cupcake week one. So I don't believe week one both quarterbacks will play. I do believe that Hudson Card is going to be the winner there, man. I do believe Hudson Card will end up beating out Casey Thompson, and Casey Thompson will hit the transfer portal, because as we all know, the transfer portal is real, man. We saw 9,742 players hit the transfer portal this past season, so we all know the transfer portal is real. We had players transfer out ourselves, and we had players transfer in. We had Jake Smith was probably the biggest player that we had transfer out. We did have a couple of big players transfer in. We did get a couple of starters. Ray Thornton from the transfer portal. We did get him from the University of Louisiana. Sorry, not Louisiana, Louisiana. We did get him from LSU. We do get Mr. Robinson from Alabama, so that we do know the transfer portal is real. So we are looking to add players that way. So if you have any more questions, any more queries for me right now, I do appreciate everybody being in here, man. If you're not new to the program yet to subscribe, please do, in fact, doing so. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here for you, man. You don't know who's going to come at you in this day and age. You don't know who's going to come at you in life, man. So it applies for in life, and it applies in the game of football. So I do like to remind everybody to please keep your head in a swivel and your eyes on Texas. Hook 'em up.